Pretty much everyone knows Psalm 23, right? We hear it at funerals, it's quoted in movies. For centuries, those words have been like a warm blanket. But what if that familiar comfort has actually made us miss the entire point? I mean, these are probably some of the most famous words ever written, and they absolutely bring a ton of reassurance. But reading them as just a gentle pastoral poem, well, that might be hiding a message that is way more powerful and, frankly, revolutionary. And that's the big question we're diving into here. We are going to challenge that common, kind of sentimental reading of Psalm 23 and really dig into its ancient theological roots. And what we're going to find isn't just a poem, it's a radical declaration of political and cosmic allegiance. Okay, so first things first, we have to get our heads around the idea that this isn't just literature, it's a really profound theological statement, and it comes from a very specific time and place. So often, we see the psalm through the lens on the left, right? It's a nice poem that's supposed to make us feel safe. But its deeper meaning, when you look at the original context, is a full-throated declaration of allegiance to a sovereign king. It's not just about our feelings, it's a claim about who's actually running the universe. To really get this, we've got to start with that central metaphor, the shepherd. And let me tell you, it probably doesn't mean what you think it means. You see, in the ancient world, calling a king a shepherd was totally normal political language. It meant he was the ruler, the one who brought order, the one responsible for the well-being of the whole nation. So when the psalmist calls God a shepherd, it's not some soft, sentimental image. It is a bold political statement. God is the true king. And don't just gloss over that tiny little word, my. That one word turns a general idea into a personal oath of loyalty. It's like saying, this is the king I serve. This is the binding agreement, the covenant, that I belong to. Which brings us to one of the most misunderstood lines in the entire psalm. I shall not want. Now, this isn't a promise that you'll never have desires or, that you won't face hardship. It's a statement about a covenantal reality. It means that under the care of the shepherd king, you will lack nothing essential for life in his kingdom. Why? Because the king is faithful and will always provide what his people need. And this whole idea of the king's provision, well, it extends to the very world the psalmist is describing. So we hear green pastures, and then we hear still waters. And what do we picture? Right? Some peaceful, idyllic little scene. But in the ancient world, this imagery meant so much more. Back then, wild, untamed places and chaotic, raging waters were symbols of death and disorder. So green pastures and still waters aren't just pretty scenery. They are safe zones, spaces of life and security that have been carved out of chaos by the sheer power of the shepherd king. He literally creates order where there was none. And the same exact thing goes for the paths of righteousness. This isn't just about being a good person or following a moral code. It's about walking on the roads that align with the king's order, with his way of running things. And you do it for his name's sake, basically to uphold his reputation as a ruler who knows what he's doing and guides his people well. But listen, living in this ordered kingdom doesn't mean you're immune to danger. Not at all. In fact, the psalm takes a sharp, dramatic turn right into the heart of it. The psalmist never, ever promises that you'll get a detour around the valley. It doesn't offer an escape hatch from peril, from suffering, or from the reality of death. What it offers is something so much more profound. And this right here is the pivot point of the whole psalm. The language completely shifts. The writer stops talking about God in the third person, he leads me, and starts talking to God directly, for you are with me. That little change from he to you might seem small, but it's huge. It shows the relationship with the shepherd king becoming intensely personal and immediate, right at the moment when the danger is the absolute greatest. It's in the darkest place that the bond of the covenant is felt the most. And the comfort in that valley? It doesn't come from a vague, fuzzy feeling. It comes from the king's tools of governance. The rod, that's a weapon, a symbol of his authority to fight off threats. The staff, that's for guidance, for keeping you on the path. So the comfort isn't about the absence of threats. It's about the presence of the king's active power and authority right there with you. And all of this builds to the psalm's absolutely breathtaking conclusion, which holds what might be the most radical reinterpretation of the whole thing. We all know the line, "Goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." And we tend to picture them like two friendly companions, just kind of strolling along behind us. But the original language, it's so much more aggressive than that. The Hebrew verb here is radaf, and it does not mean to gently accompany. This is the same word used for an army pursuing its enemy, or for a predator hunting its prey. It means to chase, to hunt down, to relentlessly pursue. This just completely flips the script. You are not the one struggling to keep up with God. No. God's covenant loyalty, His goodness, and His mercy are actively, relentlessly hunting you down. Instead of being pursued by your enemies in that dark valley, you are being pursued by the fierce, protective grace of your King. And what's the goal of this relentless pursuit? It's this. To dwell in the house of the Lord isn't about visiting a building. It's about being brought into permanent residence in the King's personal domain, a place of ultimate safety and communion that lasts way beyond death itself. It's the final, total victory of the Shepherd King. So when we stop reading Psalm 23 as just a sweet poem and start seeing it for what it is, a fierce declaration of loyalty to a divine king, it changes everything. Comfort becomes confidence in sovereign power. Safety becomes about belonging to a divinely ordered reality. And it leaves us with one last question to chew on. If the shepherd is a king, what does that make the sheep?